So good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pima Community College's downtown campus. My name is David Doré, the campus president here and vice chancellor, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 4th annual Raquel Rubio Goldsmith Lecture in Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies. This is really an exciting event. We would like to begin by acknowledging that Pima Community College, like all of Tucson, rests on the historical lands of the Tohono O'odham and Pascua Yaqui people. We thank them for sharing their historical legacy with us all and commit to joining them in being good stewards of the land and of each other. Here at Pima, the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies and Sociology Department, also known as EGTSS, and we pronounce that EGS, have organized tonight's event. And the EGTSS department provides an example of education that centers the experiences and voices of marginalized and underrepresented communities and delivers this information in an authentic way that represents many people in our local community and learning environment. And we are very grateful to Dr. Vicki Ruíz, who's right here at our front table. We're very much looking forward to you, Dr. Ruíz. So we're very grateful to you and for her support of the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies and Pima Community College by joining us this evening. We are also appreciative of all of you who are here. You are the reason we as a department and a college exist, to serve you and to provide you and your family with quality education that has excellence and community as its North Star. We would also like to give our heartfelt thanks to our many supporters and co-sponsors. From Pima Community College, we are grateful for the Office of Provost, the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, the Office of Downtown Campus President, the Division of Social Sciences and Humanities, and the Office of International Education and Global Engagement. Tonight's event is also indebted to Brother John's Barbecue, who catered the reception. We still have some good food right over here for those who haven't eaten yet. Fundación Mexico, the JW Marriott Star Pass Resort and Spa, Casino del Sol, Whataburger, and the University of Arizona's Department of Mexican American Studies and School of Social and Behavioral Sciences. And before we get started, I'd also just like to acknowledge a few folks that are with us this evening. First, I'd like to acknowledge our Chancellor and CEO, Lee Lambert, we'll hear from in a few moments. Thank you, Lee. I'd also like to acknowledge our Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor, Dr. Dolores Duran Cerda. He is with us. I'd also like to acknowledge Dr. Macario Saldate, who is a faculty emeritus from the University of Arizona, a former representative and the founder of Mexican American Studies at the University of Arizona. So welcome, Dr. Saldate. Also like to acknowledge Dr. Ana Ochoa O'Leary, who's here with us this evening. Dr. O'Leary is the chair of the Mexican American Studies Department at the University of Arizona. And I would also like to acknowledge Professor Adalberto Guerrero, who is retired from the University of Arizona, who's with us. Again, very special appreciation to all of our distinguished guests who are with us, and again, to all of you. And so now it is my pleasure to introduce our Chancellor for a few words. Lee Lambert has been Chancellor of Pima Community College since July of 2013, and Chancellor Lambert has long championed community colleges as instruments in the fight for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Chancellor Lambert is CEO of the National Asian Pacific Islanders Council. He has been recognized nationally by the Asian Pacific Americans in higher education for contributions to education and the API community. He has been honored by the University of Arizona Asian American faculty, staff, and alumni. In 2018, he received the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, National Convention Humanitarian Award. He has been recognized by the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Victoria Foundation for exceptional service to the Hispanic community. Pima Community College is a proud Hispanic serving institution. Rah, rah. And Chancellor Lambert is a U.S. Army veteran. He was born in Seoul, Korea, and grew up on 3 continents. He received a bachelor's degree in liberal arts from the Evergreen State College and a Juris Doctorate degree from Seattle University School of Law. It is my pleasure to welcome Lee Lambert.
Well, good evening, everybody. So they asked me to just say a few words about Pima Community College's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so what I usually say at the start of my address to our faculty, staff, administrators, and students of the college is, first and foremost, we are an institution of social justice. Our commitment to all folks' access to higher education should be primary. And as a result of that, we also have to recognize that in this current environment that we're in, those beliefs and standards that we all hold to are under duress. But in addition to that environment, we also have to recognize the enormous technological shifts that are occurring in our society. When you bring all these pieces together, what are the combined potential impacts especially to our communities of color? And I thought I would just share some statistics just to put it into perspective. African Americans are overrepresented in occupations with the highest risk of automation displacement. 60% of our Latinx workers' jobs are at risk from automation. 45% of Native American jobs are at risk from automation. And 62% of Southeast Asian Americans have not even attended college. So our fight for social justice is nowhere over. We must double down and re-strengthen our commitment to providing access to the finest education that prepares folks for the 21st century. And as a result of that, Pima has stepped up to say we're going to focus our efforts by creating the first ever written formal plan to support diversity, equity, inclusion in this community. And what some of the components of that? One is making sure that we attract and retain a diverse faculty, a diverse staff, and a diverse set of administrators. Also that we create a pipeline to ensure that all of our students, especially our students of color, continue to access and persist through Pima onto the university or into direct employment that leads to self-sufficient wages. Because I really believe that a good job will help to address issues of poverty or food insecurity, help address issues of housing, help address so many other issues that impact communities of color. But that commitment is also evidenced in so many other ways that our board of governors and myself and many of our employees have supported, that we signed on as one of the 150 schools as friend of the court brief opposing the current federal administration's attempt to end the DACA program. Remember, there's thousands of universities and colleges in the United States, and we are one of the 150 that are standing up for the rights of our DACA students. We've also committed, established an immigrant and refugee student resource center right here on our downtown campus. We got started with a small space, and our hope is to expand that as we move over time. Our provost has approved an initiative to add African American studies to our ethnic and gender and transborder studies department. And we're hoping that we'll start launching that as we move into 2021. And our hope is to also add Asian American studies as we go forward. And all of this has led to Pima Community College and our governing board being recognized with the Pacific Region Diversity Award from the Association of Community College Trustees. This is the national association in which our governing boards are members of. So these are just some of the many examples of this college's commitment to social justice. And I'd like to just close with, I think, an appropriate set of words from Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. It is important for all of us to appreciate where we come from and how that history has really shaped us in ways that we might not understand, because I think tonight we're going to learn a little more about history as well. Thank you all for coming here.
Thank you very much, Lee. We really appreciate your leadership. So we've done a little rearranging of the program to accommodate some of our students presenting, but we're still going to kick off the main part of this evening's program by hearing from students and recent graduate from the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies program. So Cassandra Jones, Felix Brigham, and Alicia Garcia. I'm going to turn it over to you three.
Is that good? Yeah? Okay. So I was the first graduate of the Ethnic, Gender, Transborder Studies, and Sociology department, and was also able to be the first work study. And I have a lot to say about that, but I got to try and keep it to 3 minutes, so I wrote notes. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised here in Tucson by a single mom who worked really hard and worked really hard to support us and really hard to give us a mindset that we could do whatever we put our mind to. When I graduated high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and so for about 6 years, I just worked a lot. I was given a really good job bartending and making coffee, and I was able to save money and travel. And what I realized traveling was that what intrigued me the most was how different cultures worked and societies functioned. So about 6 years later, I decided to try and enroll at Pima. I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to do right when I graduated, but traveling kind of shaped an interest in society. So I'm glad I did wait, though, because when I did transfer, it coincided with the birth of the EGS department. Rosalia Solorzano was my sociology professor and really reaffirmed that that is the field that I identify a lot with, but also the Ethnic, Gender, Transborder, and Sociology department allowed me to take an interdisciplinary approach. So I didn't really feel like I was sacrificing one thing or another. I was able to satisfy all of my gen ed credits with things that seemed culturally relevant to me and my community. So through that interdisciplinary understanding, I learned more about myself, but it also opened my eyes to the experiences of others and opened my ears to the voices of those which have been historically stifled. Again, as a non-traditional student who didn't attend college right away, I'm glad I did wait because honestly, this department, it was just very fulfilling. Every professor that I had the pleasure of learning from was not only an exceptional educator, but also a mentor, as they actively encouraged me to recognize my own excellence and showed me that there was a need for my voice in academia. I don't want to cry. But honestly, without them and their insight and the content within the courses, I don't know if I would have learned to value my experience or what my experience has to offer. I am currently at finishing up my first semester at the U of A. I decided to double major because the department allowed me to take a lot of cross-listed classes. So once again, I'm not really having to sacrifice one passion or interest over another. I'm double majoring in sociology and gender women's studies. I really, really, really want to stress how much the department and the professors prepared me for U of A, because I was really concerned at first, just transferring. But I'm able to complete all of my assignments with ease and confidence. Yeah. Thank you. As for the future, I'm considering minoring in law because they offer that within the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences. Not sure. I'm also considering grad school, and ideally, I would really love to come back to Pima and teach within the EGTS department. But in general, I'm planning on dedicating my life to doing what I can to provide a more equitable experience for historically marginalized, silenced, and disenfranchised folks in this community. Additionally, the work study position really gave me an opportunity to realize a lot of strengths that I had. Francisca gave me a lot of opportunities to grow and challenge what I thought I was capable of completing and doing, from fundraising to volunteer coordinating to whatever I was interested in helping with. And it really, really showed me the importance of culturally relevant education. But yeah, I just wanted to thank Francisca and all of my instructors and everyone in the work group. Obviously, I'm not sad. I just feel really honored.
Hi, everyone. Is it working? Before I started attending Pima, I was very worried about going to college. I didn't do very well in high school, and I thought that I would do similarly here. I expected my classes to be boring and thought that I would not be able to succeed. I can now happily say that I was wrong, and it is thanks to the folks at the EGTS department. Because of them, I have been able to take classes about topics that actually interest me, like the gender binary and racial stratification. The professors I have met from these classes have gone out of their way to create a comfortable environment for students of all different backgrounds and identities. They create spaces where students can talk about their opinions and experiences regarding topics that would otherwise go unspoken, like gender, class, and race. The people from the EGTS department have been the ones that have helped me the most to succeed at Pima and go on to the University of Arizona in the spring. Like Dr. James Hernandez, who called me into her office to talk to me one-on-one about my academic plans after she noticed I had mentioned my interest in gender and women's studies. She told me about the EGTS concentration and even introduced me to the head of the Gender and Women's Studies department at the U of A. Without her, I would have not known about the EGTS scholarship that I would later receive. In times like these, it can be easy to think that we are moving backwards. Our political and social climate seems to be particularly full of hate. I believe that it is the responsibility of each of us to unlearn the biases that we have all been taught since birth. This task can seem insurmountable at times, but education is an incredibly useful tool to achieve this. It is through departments and programs like this one that we can work towards creating a society that is equal and fair.
Hello. Okay, there. Hello, my name is Alicia Garcia, and I'm a student here at Pima, working towards an associate's in liberal arts with a concentration in ethnic, gender, and transborder studies. I want to talk to you tonight about how a scholarship that I won at last year's Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies Summit has impacted my life as a student, and there it goes. Truthfully, I was reluctant at first to submit anything, thinking that there was no way that I would win any of the scholarships. But at the last minute, I decided to submit a painting, which is now over there. To my surprise, it won the first place prize in the visual arts portion of the competition. This was truly humbling because all the pieces were really beautiful and really spoke to the heart of the summit, which is our roots and our heritage. For me, my piece represents the confusion and contradiction I often feel when broaching the subject of my own roots. And in that way, it's a very personal piece, and I was so touched that it resonated with people. Thank you. With this scholarship I won, I've been able to take classes that are important to me. This semester, I'm taking a Feminist Theory Studies course as well as a Mexican American Studies course, which are two classes with subject matter that I deeply care about but may have been left on the back burner due to financial strain. Like many of my peers, I have to work for my education as well as keep a roof over my head. And this scholarship has helped me worry less about the cost of classes so that I can put more energy into doing well in them. Beyond financial benefit, this scholarship gave students like me an opportunity to showcase our creative works and our voices in a way that welcomed and validated them. And winning this scholarship for me has helped me acknowledge that my voice does matter. And in that way, I believe that scholarship opportunities like these truly lend themselves to harm reduction and community empowerment. And I am so grateful I was able to be a part of it and honored that I was chosen to receive one of the generous scholarships.
Thank you so much, Cassandra, Felix, and Alicia, for sharing with us and for taking advantage of these amazing classes and professors and for contributing to our college community. So thank you very much. And we definitely look forward to your continued success and to supporting you in the future as you carry on your academic journeys. Now, if you would like more biographical information about these really remarkable student speakers and our keynote this evening, their bios are in your program. So I think everyone has a program. If you don't, we have plenty of them around here. I'd also like to draw your attention. You heard a story about a scholarship, and so in the packet you will see the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies Scholarship for the spring of 2020. So there is still time to apply for that scholarship. For those, I see a lot of students here, and I see some maybe hope to be students here, so please consider applying for this scholarship, okay? So I really encourage all of you. Again, thank you so much to our panel. Let's give them another round of applause. And I would now like to invite faculty from the Department of Ethnic, Gender, Transborder Studies, and Sociology to come up. And we will hear from them some important information about the history of this event, the mission of the department, and the recent accomplishments of the department.
Hello, buenas noches. My name is Bardo Padilla. I'm the Mexican American Studies Discipline Coordinator here at Pima Community College. And I'm very happy to introduce this lecture series to all of you. And we named them Raquel Rubio Goldsmith for the following reason. Raquel Rubio Goldsmith is the co-director of the Binational Migration Institute at the Department of Mexican American Studies at the U of A. She studied law and philosophy at Nacional Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, in Mexico City. As a founding faculty in history at Pima Community College, she has taught here from 1969 to 1999 when she retired. Rubio Goldsmith has focused her historical research on the history of the Mexicana Chicana on the U.S.-Mexico border. Working in and with community partners has resulted in 45 years of volunteer work in immigrant rights. A member of Manso Area Council and later Coalición de Derechos Humanos, she has developed numerous community-based research projects targeting the effects of U.S. immigration border enforcement on Mexicano and Latino communities. Joining other faculty, she has helped establish the Binational Migration Institute at the Department of Mexican American Studies at the University of Arizona. Through the Institute, Rubio Goldsmith conducts collaborative research with faculty, students, and the community that continues to result in numerous reports on migrant deaths on the border. Students and colleagues know her as community activist devoted to immigration rights, women's rights, and civil rights in general. As a member of several community boards and as a public speaker, she constantly presents a Chicana perspective. Since 1994, she has been active in providing information on the Zapatista Revolution in Mexico through Pueblo por la Paz in Tucson and the National Commission for Democracy in Mexico. I want to thank the University of Arizona for the bio. And Raquel couldn't be here tonight. She's always here, but tonight she wasn't able to. So thank you.
Buenas noches, Yaate. Good evening. It's nice to see all of you. Wonderful, beautiful faces out there. I'm Francisca James Hernandez. I'm faculty here at Pima College. This is my 21st year. I'm also the head of the Department of Ethnic, Gender, Transborder Studies and Sociology, and very proud to be so, especially on nights like this one when we come together as an incredible collaborative team in the service of our students and our community. So I thank you for the privilege. We also want to make sure that we remember how we're here, why we're here, to those who came before us and to whom we're indebted and for whom we continue to fight and struggle in order to have our education, in order to have the opportunity to learn about historically marginalized and silenced voices. We are commemorating the 50th anniversary of Pima Community College, which itself was born of struggle, of community struggle, and continues to be a work in progress. And also I think we think that it's incumbent upon us to remember, use this opportunity of the 50th anniversary of the college and of many social justice movements that were vibrant 50 years ago that led to things like this community college being established, things like gender and women's studies, Mexican American Raza studies, American Indian studies, African American studies, queer studies, all of these area studies that we offer through our department were born of struggles that were very at their peaks or at their beginnings in a sense, or their continuation 50 years ago. Things like the Stonewall riots in New York City, which is seen as the turning point in the queer movement, social justice movement. Things like the blowouts in Los Angeles, where Mexican American high school students walked out of their schools demanding a better education that was reflective of who they were, of their communities, of their history, culture, and perspectives. Things like the Third World Liberation Movement that began at UC Berkeley and San Francisco State University 50 years ago, establishing ethnic studies for the first time in this country. So we owe a great debt to them, and we have been inspired by them. We here at the college who founded this department, who are continue to struggle to make this a living, vibrant department that is in service to you, the students, to you, the community, and that will make our bonds that much closer and our institution that much more relevant to you, to your needs, and to the future of our communities and our needs.
What's up, everybody? My name is Marcos Trujillo. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm one of the faculty here in the Ethnic, Gender, Transborder Studies and Sociology department. And sociology is kind of where I come in. I'm a sociologist, and I also do gender and women's studies, feminist studies. And so one of my charges was going to be to give you the mission statement of our department, but I think the statements that we heard from these three people up here can do a better job of summing up what our goals are and what the outcomes of this kind of education can provide. So I will direct your attention to, in your programs, we have this gorgeous flyer. And so that's where you can find our official mission statement. And on the back, it has all of the class offerings that fall within our program. And the only ones that aren't on here are sociology, but if you take any of those classes, they count. So if you're in the process of thinking about what you want to take next semester, if you have a cousin, a friend, a brother, a romantic partner who's graduating high school and maybe thinking about something that they might want to do, handing somebody something like this and saying, you matter, and there are people who know that you matter and want to teach you the history, the culture, where your voices come in. That's exactly what we're here to do, so we would love to see any and all of you in our classes. And, you know, I think I'm also one of the benefits of having an interdisciplinary education. As a Latinx person, as a transgender individual, as somebody who navigated sociology but really interested in the experiences of women and lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender people, I had to go outside of a singular department to get a true understanding of what those experiences looked like. And we all know that our experiences don't lend themselves to one singular way of analysis. We have to draw from all of the best things that we have to offer to truly understand how our world works, and that's what our goal is. So we're so excited to see all of you here participating in that. So thank you very much.
We just want to bring your attention. We were thinking of reading some of these highlights and achievements of our department, but you just heard from our most important highlights and achievements, and you're going to hear from more this evening. I just want to direct your attention to this handout that's also in your packet. It has our logo, the community college logo, and our department logo there at the top, colorful. Rainbow hands with different shaded colors of brown hand, very symbolic. It gives you an even more idea of what we work on, what our achievements are. And I just want to mention two. One is a new hire we had this year that we were fortunate to have in sociology. Tiffany Young, where are you? She's right over there. She is incredible, a dynamo, dynamic. Take a class with any one of our faculty, right? She's fantastic. We're so lucky to have her here at Pima Community College, as we are all our faculty. And I also want to recognize Dr. Sherry Lynn Stewart, who is a faculty in American Indian Studies and our discipline coordinator for American Indian Studies, sitting right here in front. Would you raise your hand, Sherry? And you'll be hearing from them later. Thank you all.
Thank you, Francisca, Bardo, and Marcos. Thank you very much for sharing your vision and hard work with us. You know, it's exciting to see what you have accomplished and how this event tonight is the fruition of many people's efforts and vision. And so now it's my pleasure to introduce Michael Parker, who is the Dean of Social Sciences and Humanities, to speak to the significance of the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies program to the college and to the community.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. On behalf of the Division of Humanities and Social Sciences, welcome to the 4th annual Raquel Rubio Goldsmith Lecture. I'm pleased to say that the EGTS department is instrumental to the college in that it provides classes and content that are directly reflective of so many of our students, their families, and their lives. Creating a college where people can come not only to learn math and science and technical skills, but one where students can come and learn about themselves, their culture, and their community is no small task. But ethnic, gender, and transborder studies provides that opportunity for many of our learning community. As an Hispanic-serving institution, it is imperative that we provide classes to our students that respectfully and critically engage the contributions and experiences of Mexican-American studies, which this department provides. And through the EGTS Summit last year, the Maya Maiz Roots of Raza Studies, we were provided a shining example of how engaging these pedagogies and histories in an intentional way, we can see the connection between American Indians and transnational indigenous people, Mexican Americans, and the experience of women and LGBTQ folks are deeply intertwined and related. As an interdisciplinary and collaborative department, EGTS provides itself on bringing us together to have conversations like this. We look forward to developing new and creative ways to ensure the department, and by extension these studies and communities, receive the support from Pima Community College and the Tucson community. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce another one of our faculty at PCC, Kathy Castellum. And it is my distinct pleasure because she was a student of mine at the University of Arizona. And having talked with her further, we both graduated from Pueblo High School. And we lived on the southwest side of town in the neighborhood near Manzanita Park, if anybody's familiar with that. And in addition, that's just the personal connection, and that's why it's my pleasure. But furthermore, what's really more important is the fact that Kathy represents the very best of the institution in terms of her devotion to students. She offers a course, a dual enrollment course at Ajo High School that is transmitted through, what is the word? Via television, telecourses. What's that? Streaming. Oh, okay, so that's much better. I took telecourses where everybody interrupted each other, but this sounds much better. And not only does she do that, that's a desperately underserved community, but a couple of weeks ago, she brought the students in from Ajo and gave them a tour of the University of Arizona and of Pima Community College. So I tip my hat to you, Kathy. And once again, she represents the very best of the college in terms of her dedication to her students. So I hand the floor over to you, Kathy.
Oh, good evening. I'm like, who's that Michael's talking about? Well, thank you all for being here this evening and sharing space with my students and I. So just to touch on what I do at Ajo High School is I teach a dual enrollment distance learning course. And what that is we kind of like zoom in together. So I teach students at West Campus, and then from Ajo, they zoom in into a special classroom with special technology. And I teach via Zoom. Well, it's not Zoom, it's Blue Jeans, but you get the picture. So I teach that modality. It's been a great experience. This is my second time teaching that type of course, and it's really awesome. So they couldn't be here this evening, but they send their positive energy and their good spirits here with us today. All right, so I am a proud Pueblo High School graduate, proud Pima Community College graduate, and soon to be 3-time University of Arizona graduate. Thank you. So I say that specifically to you folks out in the audience who are still in school, because I never thought I'd be up here talking to you all this evening. I never thought I'd be an adjunct faculty here at Pima. So with a little bit of ganas, like my dad says, and reaching out to your community for some help, we're here to help you, and anything can be done. Don't ever lose hope, because I'll tell you what. So sidetrack, really quick. So I applied to go to South Point, and I didn't get in. And look at me now, a PhD in May 2020. So whatever you want to do, you can do it. All right, so I am proud to introduce students from my Intro to Chicanic Studies course. So we have Veronica, Arturo, Kiana, yes, you can clap, Isaiah, Brandy, Selena, Jonathan, and Sabrina. All right, so we'll just go ahead and get right into the questions because I know I'm running a little bit late. So, Arturo, please tell us how Mexican American studies have impacted your identity and community involvement.
Hello? Okay. So, most of my life, I didn't really care about my history and who I come from. Not until later in my high school career did I, when I was not in my best mental state. I had a lot of anxiety, I had depression, and then I had a teacher who was an ethnic studies teacher, and he showed me how important knowing your history, knowing who you are, and then loving the people that you come from. And he taught me also to be critical of what I read on the news, to focus on bettering myself and walking this earth with beauty, you'd say. He also just was a good person to me, and he helped me love myself more and my family. And because of that, I was able to motivate myself to actually making mecha at Pima, the first chapter there ever. And I have been able to work with amazing people. Some of them are here. And they've been nothing but a blessing. And I hope that we can motivate more people and inspire more people to do great things.
Thank you very much, Arturo. Yes, if you're interested in joining Mecha, learning more about us, see me or Arturo or some of our mechistas who are here today. All right, our next question goes to Selena. How have Mexican American Studies classes impacted you on a personal level?
Okay. Yeah? Okay, nice. Okay, there you go. Yeah, okay. So the first time I was introduced to Latinx studies was in high school. One of the first things that I learned in my very first Latinx studies class taught me was my rights as a minor. Being students of color, he wanted us informed and aware if we were ever in those situations. 2 years later, I learned in a different Latinx studies class was how to write a college admissions essay, which later helped me in my future applying to colleges. This year, in my Latinx studies classes, it helped educate me into shaping my identity and who I identify as someone who's a Chicana. That's I say proudly now, so that's beautiful. These classes bring a sort of support, comfort, and it's helped me express myself in these safe places within these classrooms. Getting to talk about social pressures of being somebody who is trying to fit in and these internal borders that we don't talk about too often. I've learned people who I can relate to and understand where I'm coming from because they have experienced these and lived through these experiences as well. I feel heard and understood in these classes, and no matter how much time passes, I will always carry this knowledge and support with me for the rest of my life.
Thank you. Thank you, Selena. All right, next we have Veronica. How has taking Mexican American Studies classes related to your personal and academic interests?
So personally, I have, and I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like the rest of the class has been able to find a deeper connection within ourselves and within our own identities. I came to a huge realization that the more you're able to understand yourself, the more sympathetic you can be to other people. And so being able to know that there's identity struggles within me and acknowledge that within everybody that was in the classroom and everybody that exists on this planet just helped me grow hugely as a person. Academically, I'm a theater arts major, and I feel like I can't express how much the humanities departments and the theater arts departments go together, and the stories that we read in our textbook, in Gloria Anzaldua's book with her poetry and her historical accounts and her personal accounts, those stories have to be told for people to see the culture. And so theater has a huge place in that, and the arts have a huge place in that. And Kathy's been amazing with encouraging us to enjoy the arts, and Tucson is a beautiful place to see that kind of thing and hear the stories of the borderlands that we live on.
Thank you, Veronica. All right, so our next question goes to Jonathan. How has our class, Introduction to Chicanic Studies, related to current issues and topics?
Can y'all hear me? Yeah. All right. Okay. So I have been thinking about this subject for a little bit. Like I've kind of had a realization. So like lately, there has been an increase in like hate crimes against Mexicans. And from what I learned in Latinx studies, I can see some connections with these crimes and how basically history is taught to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes as we did before, or so that history isn't repeated. I feel like now we're still seeing people being treated like dirty Mexicans, or if they speak another language, that they should go back to their go back to their country. You know, they'll only be told that if they're not speaking English. And to me, it just looks like history is either repeating itself, and I feel like we just need to address these issues and situations and all these historical events that no one really knows about. Like there's so much things that I learned from this class that I never ever heard of, and I just think it's really mind-opening in my opinion. Like these issues and these situations, they were talked about more commonly around the Chicano movement. There was a whole movement going towards this, and now there's like all this crime again, and I feel like if anything, we need these studies more now than we ever have. Like I feel like that's what we need right now, is to make sure that we bring awareness so history doesn't repeat itself, so it doesn't circle around, because now I feel like Mexicans are being oppressed like compared to like last year. Like I feel like there's a major difference, you know what I mean? Sorry, I'm nervous. But those are just the connections I've made. But yeah, it does really have a connection between today's events. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. All right, Brandy, why do you think classes such as Introduction to Chicanic Studies are important for the community?
I think it was.
Okay. I learned from them too, so.
These classes are important for the community because a large percentage of our population comes from ethnic background or heritage. Either you yourself, someone you know, someone you grew up with, somebody you work with. And many stereotypes, many of them we grew up with, some of them still exist in the media, and they take new forms every day. And this leads people to act on false impressions and stereotypes. And these classes help end those impressions and stereotypes and give people of this background and heritage an advantage to not feel alone in their situation, especially living in a border town. Being aware of these impressions and stereotypes will create a better community. It helps people in their social life, in their academic life, and their workplace. I believe that knowledge is power, and I encourage everyone to participate in these classes as they are beneficial not only to Chicanos, Chicanas, Chicanx, but people of all background and ethnics and cultures. And if we learn from our history, we can make a better future. And I think that is the biggest thing that we have to take from this, or else we are just going to be at a standstill.
Oh, thank you very much, Brandy. All right, our next question goes to Sabrina. What are some of the positive outcomes that Mexican American Studies courses have had in the community and mainstream history classes?
Hi, everyone. So regarding Chicano MAS studies, there's so many beneficial impacts within our community. One of the biggest impacts that I've seen is the change in dropout rates and graduation rates. So we've been seeing students who take these classes and learn about this culturally relevant history, and we are now seeing them decide to stay in school, keeping on until they graduate, and it's even impacting them enough to go to post-secondary education, such as Pima. Also, because these young Chicano students are seeing their own people within their curriculum, these students are able to identify their own goals and their own dreams that they can achieve. And it really helps to motivate and get people out there doing what they love for the community, which brings me to my next one. MAS and Chicano Studies truly, truly, truly help strengthen the community here within not only Tucson, Pima, but the entire Chicanx community, especially within students such as ourselves. The motivation that we feel in these courses and learning about ourselves really helps us to want to give back and be a part of our community and see the change that we really want. And it really helps us create those standards of representation that we want to see continued within future generations. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Sabrina. All right, so Kiana, how has the banning of Mexican American studies in Tucson impacted you as a person and the local community?
Well, when most people think of HB 2281, they usually think of high school students and high school teachers being primarily impacted. Although that is true for most, a lot of people don't realize that the Chicanx community as a whole was affected by the Mexican American studies, the banning of Mexican American studies, including me. I was about 10 years old when Raza Studies was taken away from me. I was fortunate enough to go to Davis Bilingual Elementary School, one of the very few elementary schools that provided Mexican American studies. I remember being as young as 7 years old and having someone from the Mexican American Studies department come into our classrooms to teach us about our history, culture, and also the social and political issues going on at that time and how we can change them. In my opinion, it is groundbreaking for educators to feel empowered enough to be able to inspire young students to challenge inequities and push them to make a difference in the world. It is groundbreaking because the schooling system constantly tells students the opposite. However, a lot of people didn't feel the same way, and because of that, Raza Studies was taken away from my classmates and me. It didn't just affect the youth, it also affected adults, such as my grandfather, who was a member of the Brown Berets and participated in the Tucson High walkouts in 1969 to fight for Mexican American studies. He and thousands of Chicanx students didn't see themselves in U.S. history books, and so they fought for a program that would include more people of color into the curriculum so that future students like me could get an education we deserve. Although you might think HB 2281 impacted our community only in a negative way, which you can say it did, it also impacted us in a positive way and reminded us that in unity, there's strength. It reminded the adults que la lucha sigue. It showed the young adults and teenagers that it is now up to them to fight the fight. It also showed young people like me that you're never too young to fight for what is right. And because of that, because of seeing those brave students walking out of school, protesting, handcuffing themselves to the TUSD board member chairs, and even testifying in court, I became the person that I am today, someone who will always fight for my community, which is why I joined and helped run Mecha at Pima College and work for TUSD's Culturally Responsive Pedagogy and Instruction Department, a department built from the rubble of HB 2281. I went from being a part of the students affected by the banning of Mexican American Studies to now being a part of the fight for Mexican American Studies within TUSD by helping students of color get to college. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kiana. All right, last but not least, we have Isaiah. How has taking our class, Introduction to Chicanic Studies, broadened your perspective of the Tucson community?
Well, I didn't have a very good sense of community until I started looking outside more, like being outside more in high school and like getting to know my friends and family and neighbors and my friends and family who were my neighbors and like participating in more of the small businesses and getting to know those small business owners and like actually building a sense of community. Like these are who my people are. These are like the people I have to like stick by and support and represent kind of thing. And so taking this course, it also got me like thinking a lot and like being more critical about why a lot of the places and things and like happenings in Tucson are the way they are. Like it especially made me think critically about like what sort of coincidences are happening here in Tucson. Like, is it any coincidence that like the same low-income neighborhoods are the same that like have more lead in their water, or, like are in food deserts? Is it any coincidence that like the city map for the recent election was drawn to exclude most of the South Side? Is it, you know, and it makes me think like, is my home being gentrified, and is like, are things okay in my home? And it makes me want to like pay more attention to my community so I can like act when it's needed. And I don't know, it makes me see that a lot of like the current programs, institutions, businesses, and like other organizations here are like made in response to a lot of the oppression that's happening towards our peoples and trying to defend us and our community and stuff.
All right, thank you, Isaiah. All right, well, that concludes our panel presentation. Let's give them all another round of applause. So thank you again for sharing this space with us. I'm going to go ahead and invite David back up to introduce our next speaker.
Wow, thank you, Kathy. Does that sound like an awesome class or what? That is an awesome class. And it's really exciting to hear the ways that you're engaging students. And I literally was in awe to you, the students, hearing how much you draw from a class like this. So that was really powerful. Thank you very much. And Michael, thank you as well for the great introduction and overview of the program. And next we have Ilda Latner, and Ilda is our Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity Officer here at the college, and she will share some background of what her role is here and how her projects and efforts directly overlap with and support and benefit from the work being done in ethnic, gender, transborder, and sociology.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dore, and to all of our students. I just feel like there's nothing else that I would really need to say. You've seen the work here. As Dr. Dore said, my name is Ilda Ladner, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I serve as the college's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. Francisca asked me to just talk a little bit about what we do, and I feel like all of what we've already heard is what I have here. So in this role, I work throughout the college to ensure that our mission of access is fulfilled. And that when we talk about being a social justice institution, that we understand what those values are associated with diversity, equity, and inclusion are, and what they look like in practice. I think you've seen that. Diversity, equity, and inclusion are really integral to our student success, to community engagement, and virtually every aspect of the college. For these reasons, our small but mighty office works to create a culture of inclusion where all members of our college community can thrive. We do this by developing strategies, programs, services that advance diversity and address the needs of diverse populations, especially those most affected by historical and current institutional and systemic inequity and exclusion. While our work is for all members of our community, we center the voices and experiences of the people and communities facing the greatest barriers and access to success within and throughout our college. Our EGTSS program is really an important partner in this work because its curriculum and faculty are closely linked to living out our mission. As you heard again from our students, from all of the various students that spoke this evening, it is in those courses, in our Mexican American Studies courses that Francisca is teaching, and in the Gender and Women's Studies courses taught by Marcos and the various other EGTSS courses, that our students hear themselves and see themselves reflected back, and where they really feel validated in their identity and in their experiences. It is through lectures like this one that we see ourselves and build our knowledge about who we are and strengthen our voices around the issues that really impact all of our communities. EGTSS is a critical partner in creating a sense of belonging for our students and for members of our community. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I'm the last speaker before our keynote speaker comes up, so I'll end with just saying that I want to thank you for being here for the Raquel Rubio Goldsmith lecture, and that I really look forward to our shared learning this evening with Dr. Vicki Ruíz.
We would like to bring Kathy and her students back on for just some wrap-up experiences of their classes.
All right, thank you all so much for sticking with us. I know we're over time, but we're gonna go ahead and wrap up with 3 testimonials about why Latinx history matters in US history. So if you can stick around, that would be great. It'll be really short, I promise. Victoria, you're gonna go first.
Is this on? Can y'all hear me? Hello? Okay, hi. Hi, hello. My name is, I'm a little nervous. My name is Victoria Mansfield. That's it. I know my own name. And I'm currently a student in Ms. Kathy Castellum's Chicano Studies class. It's one of the best courses I've been in throughout my years here at Pima so far. I'm halfway done with my associates. I am a liberal arts major. Just want to introduce myself a little bit. Okay, so it's so important that we have these courses right now, Mexican American Studies, Chicano Studies, because we are in a state in our country where hostility and disdain towards Chicanos or Latinos, Chicanx, Latinx, however you would like to present the word, is at a high, where our people are in literal internment camps just for living their lives. No one is illegal, and yet the system likes to say otherwise. So I'll give you a little bit more background on why I'm here. You know, for a last name like Mansfield, obviously I'm mixed race. I am Mexican, Puerto Rican, and part white. Growing up, I've always been acutely aware of that. It was there when I was young, me and my mother and my sister, we would go shopping, and random strangers would just come up to us and ask, were we adopted? Was my mother babysitting? Or the worst one, if we had different fathers. Her anger became our own. That still kind of infuriates me thinking about it. I'll let it go, but still. Anyway, it was also apparent when on a Girl Scout trip, of all things, a white mom came up to me and said, "Oh my God, I wish I were as tan as you. You're so pretty," while acting like my mother and sister did not exist. And if you look at me, I'm not very tan. So, regardless, I hated seeing my family treated like this. I hated that I did not look like them. I internalized all of those confusing emotions, the anger, the guilt, the anxiety, the frustration. It got so bad to the point where I would pray and wish to God or the universe, whoever would listen to me, to please make me look more like my mother growing up, make me darker. I wanted to be seen as her daughter. But that inward turmoil became external as I continued to see the treatment in my schools growing up, like in middle school and high school, other Latino and Chicano students. That just furthered my drive to want to do something about this. And so I hate how normalized it is to shun some and praise others based on skin color. Oops, sorry. Someone's merit should be based on their character, how they treat others. But the tradition of colorism likes to say otherwise. So let me get back to why Chicano studies is important. I'm sorry, I'm going to wrap it up. So these classes, they offer us new perspectives. Well, not new perspectives. Well, I guess new to some if they haven't experienced them before. Perspectives and ideas and history about our culture that we should know about. Especially, like I mentioned before, especially in these times. I actually took a course of Miss Rosalia Solarzano, La Chicana. I was so honored to be with her in her class. Admittedly, I didn't know who she was before, but now that I do, she's an incredible woman, incredible feminista. She's done so much for our community. And I feel just as honored to be learning of Kathy right now. We need to encourage our youth, anyone and everyone, to continue taking these classes. By learning our preserved history, we can go on to preserve our future history. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Next we have Isaiah Pina-Rico.
Hello, I'm Isaiah Pina-Rico. This is my first semester actually taking any ethnic studies classes, and I'm glad to be having it with Castellum. Sorry. So, sorry. So I'm native to Tucson, and I graduated from Tucson High just last semester. And being from Tucson High, I got to participate in a lot of the activism and the walkouts there. Since we were so close to the state buildings, we would always participate. We would always go out to protest things like gender rights, other things like that, climate change awareness, and like other gun laws especially, I remember. So my So after graduating, I had to sign up for, here at Pima. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of out of it. I'm going to start over. I'm Isaiah Pina-Rico, native Tucsonan. This is my first semester at Pima Community College after graduating Tucson High. This is my first semester ever taking any ethnic studies class. So this class greatly influenced how I think about my community, as I spoke about earlier. It gave me something that I knew that this is where I should be, what I should defend, what I have to participate in, and look into. I have to continue to learn the stories of where I came from, where my people came from, why it matters, that kind of thing. So that way, not only so that way history doesn't repeat itself, that way so we can embed ourselves and enrich ourselves. So my history and activism started at Tucson High, like I said. I would participate in the marches. That way we would advocate for gun control, transgender rights, reproductive rights, climate awareness, all that kind of stuff. With dozens and dozens of other kids all holding signs and shouting, shaking their fists. I remember one time I got home and my grandparents were telling me they saw me on the news holding half the banner for a March for Our Lives signs, shouting, "What do you want? Gun control. When do we want it? Now." And, that was very fun. I've always wanted to keep that up and keep saying the message. And so by the time I graduated, I wanted to stay in my community. I wanted to keep learning more, and I was barely building a sense of community. So I decided to sign up for Pima as opposed to all my other friends who went to universities. I also saved a lot of money, but that's something else. By the way, little tangent, my entire education so far has been totally covered by Pell Grant government money, so that's good. This class wasn't obvious for me because before that I'd never taken any ethnic studies, and the only talk about my culture, my people, was what I've heard from my family at the dinner table kind of thing. But I wanted a more formal kind of study, so I knew every step of where my people come from, that sort of process. And it really helped me think about like what I mentioned earlier, things about demographics, things about what kind of things that, do you think that there just are, you grow up oh yeah, there's lead in the water, but I finally
started thinking, why is there lead in the water, and how come it's my neighborhood that has that, like, things like that, and why isn't it being fixed? All these different things. And it feels really good to be a critical thinker. So right now, obviously, to continue community building and stuff like that. Recently, I've been doing research into Tucson's DIY music scene. There's a lot of opportunity for like community building and stuff there. It started, back in the late 70s, early 80s, out of like people who quote, got the short end of the stick from Reaganomics. I thought that was really funny. And it really helped turn kids away from crime and stuff, giving them something to focus on, music, And but at the same time, a lot of the more conservative people didn't care. Like they didn't care that it was like helping kids. They still saw it as like something full of like delinquent kids who did nothing but crime and drugs and were in gangs, that kind of thing. But no, it was turning away kids from crime and drugs and even white supremacy. After the starting of the punk scene, a lot of the strongest white supremacist groups like lost a lot of their recruitment because kids were more interested in making music than anything. And so today, that's important too. We gotta create spaces to be creative, to let kids have safe places to be creative too. And places like punk shows or like community events like that, they're great places to find people to connect with, not only like with friendships and stuff, but also like, what's the word? Organizationally, you find people to like help organize not only things like political organizations and stuff, but also like creative collectives. There's a lot of creative collectives that start just by saying like, oh, hey, you're an artist? Yeah, I'm an artist. You a musician? Yeah, I'm a musician. Let's work together. And that's how a lot of the beautiful things that happen in Tucson happen, is because people get together and get to create together. And so I think that's really what will help the community grow and, stay cool. And yep, thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. And to Veronica has a poem. Sorry, it's late.
Thank you guys for sticking around. We know who the party people are now. I just want to thank everyone for sticking around, and thank the Ethnic, Gender, and Transborder Studies for putting this together, for putting us in the room with Dr. Vicki Ruíz, and for giving us a platform to stand on and to speak. So I wrote this poem. It's called I Am, Yo Soy. Kathy prompted us to write about our name and who we found who we were, and then it inspired me to write something a little bit different after that assignment. So here's my poem. I am Veronica, Vero, La Verdad, Truth, Niña de la Tierra, product of colonialism, hija de la Malinche, born from religion, soy la mestiza velada. Don't look at me. Soy dividida y orgullosa. Too messy to clean up. ¿No me dejas? No. Déjame. Dame más. Soy la güera con canas y ganas de ser más que soy. ¿Me conoces? Ojos azules, ojos claritos, piel canela y sangre marrón. This body is alien. Y me da vergüenza. Estoy perdida en un cuerpo que no es mío, ni tuyo. Walking terrestrial, veteran sigue corriendo, busca la respuesta, respira, breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. Well, that concludes our testimonial segment. I'm going to go ahead and hand this back to David.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much. And really sharing such poignant and powerful stories about the value and the need for classes that teach about the history, culture, and social contributions of those who make up 48% of our student body. So thank you very, very much. And now to close our program, we have Tiffany Young, who's going, and Tiffany, as was announced earlier, is our newest full-time faculty member in ethnic, gender, and transborder studies. She was hired just this fall, and joining her is Dr. Sherry Lynn Stewart, faculty member and discipline coordinator for American Indian Studies of the EGS department.
Thank you all. We just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of ways that you can support the ethnic, gender, and transborder studies today, even before you leave. But one of the things that you can do is you can check out our classes, you can enroll, you can and share your experiences with these classes, because that really helps support ethnic, gender, transborder studies, and sociology.
Hi, everybody. Whoops, hello. Thank goodness for Amoret, because there were steps. I went, oh no. So, there was a lot of energy and power created in this room this evening. And I really want to thank everyone that came. Dr. Vicki L Ruíz, and also our administrators, faculty, staff, and especially the students who came and really energized us. And I really hope that we take this energy out into our classrooms and campuses, and especially into the community, to help bring more students to Pima College to learn about their own histories. We have T-shirts for sale out in the Arboretum, and we have scholarships that for these students to help them get through their difficult coursework, to help support them. There's a luncheon tomorrow that you can buy there's still tickets for sale that Dr. Ruíz will be speaking at. And also you can go to the Pima Foundation, or please come take some courses at Pima College in EGTS. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, everyone, and so that concludes our evening. Thank you so much for coming.